Roblox Forsaken opens the game strong by including a list of killers players can choose from, but did you know there's actually a whole list of killers that were scrapped from being added to the game? We'll be going over 8 scrapped killers in Forsaken in this one, so smash like and subscribe or else Noli will be out to get you soon. Number 1, Bear. The bear killer is one of the scrapped killers in Forsaken, meaning that it was a killer that was planned to be in the game with even potential assets and models being created, but it could not be added in one way or another. Bear, being the main antagonist of the Bear franchise, is a worn down teddy bear with a turquoise nose, small black smile, and 2 black beady eyes. It appears to be made of fabric with a very lumpy shape to its whole body with a lump in its neck. Unfortunately, no moveset was ever created for Bear as it was scrapped before it was even made, but the first move for it could have dealt 25 damage and the character would have had an ability where it could throw a piece of cheese as a type of weapon similar to a shuriken that ninjas use. The model for this killer could have been similar to what is pictured from the Bear series, such as Bear Tower Defense and in the original main games. It would have been a nice addition to the killers list as well, but the reason for it being scrapped was due to an announcement being mentioned within the Forsaken Discord server. The bear kill was ultimately denied by the creator of the game due to some interesting reasons, such as posting this message with the owner basically stating that they denied this killer due to the fact if they said yes, then problems would usually arise, which is understandable. It is unfortunate, especially because Bear would have been a game launch killer if permissions were given, so it is safe to say that we will never be able to see Bear come into Forsaken anytime soon. Number 2, Blue. Blue is the second scrapped killer originating from the game Rainbow Friends. He's a large, heavy royal blue monster that fittingly wears a yellow crown on his head with long, bulky arms and short, stubby legs. One of his eyes is replaced with a white button as the character drools hanging from their mouth. Blue was meant to be similar to the Knight from Dead by Daylight, being able to summon other characters from Rainbow Friends. Its crown would change to be the color of the character it would summon. Not much was said about orange, purple, and cyan, but green would have something special due to being blind, and yellow would have something special due to being able to fly around. Speculating about Blue and their moves, the first move could have been a simple slap with their arms, causing a 20 HP hit per time, and the special moves would have varied due to the other characters that it can summon. Ultimately, the reason for Blue being scrapped as a killer was due to the fact that the developers of Rainbow Friends simply didn't reply when asked for permission, likely because the developers are said to be quite reluctant to giving permissions for their characters. The developers of Rainbow Friends usually are not active, which also most likely led to the non-reply, and thus, it's also safe to say that Blue will also never make their way into Forsaken. Number 3, Hatred. Hatred is the third scrapped killer originating from the game Blocktail's Swords of Time. Hatred is a dark red, slim, thin creature that is formed in blood, being similar to an imp or devil. It has sharp horns with long curvy tail that has spikes at the end of it. Hatred's body seems to be some sort of morphing liquid from how it shapes and changes its appearance to gain advantages and shaking due to it. It's also said that Hatred would have been a 2D killer as well. Nothing is known about Hatred's gameplay, but it could have a move set similar to that moveset in Blocktails. Not much is known about Hatred, but it could have had an LMS theme with Builderman, likely his retro skin, as it is nearly identical to what Hatred disguised itself as. It could have also had a shape-shifting ability, being able to turn into other killers and mimic their special attacks as well. Hatred was scrapped due to allegations that the former owner received on March 18th. However, due to them no longer being a part of the team, there might be a possibility for Hatred to return, though there's been no confirmations as of now on whether or not this entity will make its return to the blueprints. Number 4, the Butcher. The Butcher is the 4th scrapped killer originating as an original character made by Toki. He has a leather mask with a rope holding it together from flying off. He has a reddish, light orange apron, all of his other clothes being black, along with his boots. Not much is known on how they would have played aside from one of his concepted abilities, which was to grab players from a distance by using a meat hook, possibly slowing down players or even bringing them closer to the killer. The main attack would have been a slap with a ribeye, which may have been able to do 20 to 25 damage per hit as well. Ultimately, the Butcher did end up getting replaced by Rook, yet another scrapped killer in the game at the moment, though the developers have teased that the Butcher may reappear as a cameo later in the game during a future update, though some players have mentioned that they should make him as a skin of Jason, which could be a nice idea. Number 5, Rook. Rook, being the 5th scrapped killer in Forsaken, does have an interesting storyline and planned schedule. Rook appears to be a blocky Robloxian wearing a service cap, a balaclava, and a black suit. He has 3 medals on his chest, one with a red and gold ribbon, one with a blue ribbon, and one with a lighter blue ribbon. There is a large checkmark shaped scar on his left cheek going up through his eye. Rook is a 1st sergeant within a small Robloxian military division dedicated to taking down and containing exploiters, especially due to the fact that Star Glitcher scripts have been used for exploiting in the past. The character is affiliated with Guest 1337 in some way, though there's no direct correlation between them just yet, though it is important to note that Rook's prototype would have been completely different character-wise. Rook's playstyle has been confirmed to be similar to how actual Star Glitchers function with switchable forms. Being an upcoming killer in Forsaken, nothing much was known about him other than he is a military sergeant. Rook has been teased in the #devlog channel in the official Forsaken server with another message confirming that he is a killer. Although Rook is an original character, his main weapon is a Star Glitcher, which is based off the actual Star Glitchers that were originally created for exploiters to use until Roblox forced filtering enabled, which made it so now the exploiters can only see things their script generated on the client, which caused the scripts to fade into obscurity. This killer was initially planned to replace the Butcher, but due to these changes within Roblox, it has been put on the back burner as we all wait to see what will officially happen to this character. Number 6, Sonicexe. Sonicexe is the 6th scrap killer in Forsaken, originating from Sonic 2011, the official game which was released in 2023. Sonicexe takes the form of a popular character Sonic the Hedgehog, albeit with a black sclera and red pupils with a white dot inside each pupil. His appearance in Forsaken looks significantly more low-poly and blocky, akin to his appearance in Sonicexe, the Disaster. Blood splatters can be seen on his body, and most notably on his torso, face, and gloves, as well as leaking down from his eyes. Additionally, he features gray shoes rather than red, which is worn by his normal Sonic the Hedgehog counterpart. In addition, Sonicexe poses dirty yellow fangs seen in his constantly agape mouth. The moveset for the character is publicly known, with 2 known phases for their release. Originally, the character would have had a punching ability, lunging them fast forward and dealing 17.5 damage with a 1.3 second cooldown, and a first special ability of Godsend, as Sonicexe would dash forward and deal 15 damage to survivors while applying slowness 2 for 2 seconds. This would have a cooldown of 25 seconds. The second ability would have been Found You, as the killer would teleport to a random survivor and give them a hallucination effect, seeing multiple floating SoniceXes. This also has a cooldown of 45 seconds. The killer did have potential rework done prior to release, such as the passive rings ability, which increases walk speed by 2 depending on how many kills they had. Killed survivors would drop 2 rings on their death, as the killer doesn't need to collect them. The first basic move would have been Bruise, as the killer would swing 3 times, dealing X damage every hit and increasing the timer by roughly 5 to 15 seconds per hit. A stake throw special ability would have been added, in which the killer would spawn a stake, and this would decrease the timer by 14.4 seconds. A direct hit would cause slowness and take bleeding damage, with another special ability, round 2, being able to decrease the timer by 24 seconds on use, and the time gained from move attacks is increased by 1 second. This is known as amplification, as it lasts 5 seconds. This killer was also playable within the game, as players did create footages for this beta killer, but it never saw it being added into Forsaken. Sonicexe was eventually revealed to be scrapped due to its moveset being too hard to balance and possible copyright issues with Sega. This also means you cannot use Sonicexe in private servers with the VIP Game Pass, so the only chance we have to see this killer is through the footages that we have of them. Number 7, Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper was the last confirmed scrapped killer for Forsaken, who is also referred to as Sunny. Originally, Gatekeeper was a Robloxian engineer named Sunny, who was contracted by Mr. Doombringer to create what we know as content deletion. The character is in a black and white schematic with black wings and a chain wrapped around their neck, along with white and black horns on their head, clawed hands, and a small tail coming from the back. The scrapped killer did have many abilities, though they are unfinished and untested, such as the passive Horror Fate ability that spawns in a relic key with a sound effect. If collected by the killer, then all survivors will obtain Imprisoned 3 for 20 seconds, as the killer will gain a stack of Enraged Lament. If survivors obtain this relic, however, then the killer will become helpless for 10 seconds. Swipe would be the basic attack, which would cause a 20 HP hit on players, with Imprisoned being the first special ability that will spawn puddles of black that will appear spawning in chains towards the position where the survivor was. If hit, they will have to spam a button to fill up an escape bar. Enigmatic Flight would have been the second special ability moveset, as the killer would be able to fly at a speed of 29.2. Gatekeeper can slam into the floor, dealing 20 damage to every survivor in the area, and also inflicting them with Imprisoned 2 and Slowness 1 for 10 seconds. This is also followed by 3 other special abilities, such as Idle Hands, Keeper of the Key, and Enraged Lament, which can cast even more imprisoned spells in their own unique versions. A lot was planned out for Gatekeeper, and it was likely that the concept was being made during the early development of Forsaken at the time. The abilities are extremely similar to Pinhead's abilities in Dead by Daylight, mostly being an inspiration for their abilities. It was also noted that the design for the killer, especially in Lamentation form, may have been loosely based on Giratina's origin form from Pokemon. Unfortunately, Gatekeeper was scrapped after it was found out that the previous owner of Forsaken greenlit the character without permission from the other developers, along with lying to Nightshroud about the killer being approved. There was even a Twitter thread which explained everything about Gatekeeper and everything we've covered in this video so far. Number 8, Amara. This is actually a recent scrapped killer that was brought up within the Forsaken community. Amara, as depicted here, is shown as a character that has the Roblox Spawn logo on their chest, and a normal neutral tone in their pre-transformation, to growing 4 spider-like legs on their back in their transformed state. Amara was a mentor to Two-Time, helping bring them into a cult that follows into the Spawn. Unfortunately, no abilities or attacks were mentioned with this scrapped killer, though the developers have mentioned that if anything, he will be a skin for Azure in the future. So which scrapped killer would you bring back? Like and subscribe, and take care.